Welcome, everybody. Our presentation topic is making connections, social justice issues across the globe through COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning. My name is Deniz Gokcora. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Academic Literacy and Linguistics at Borough of Manhattan Community College at CUNY, in CUNY.
And I'm Sally Everson. I was assistant professor in fine and liberal arts in the English department of the University of the Bahamas for this project.
Okay, so thank you. So we worked on a project together, Collaborative Online International Learning, COIL. It can be also called tele-collaboration virtual exchange. Basically, it's two classrooms work together. They're connected together, and they're in two parts of the world, different locations. Students work together on different assignments, projects. It's a project-based plan, and faculty members work together too, just like students. They modify an existing syllabus. They team teach and negotiate the syllabus together. This is SUNY.
This is the SUNY COIL Center website. It's pretty easy to find online if you search for that. And during our live session, we could give you a link if people are interested. And this is the model that we're using for our collaborative online exchange. And they have lots of great resources here. And Dr. Gokcora was in the COIL with her school. Her CUNY school was part of the COIL network, and my university also joined as a partner school. So that's how we're able to get our partnership and hook up. And we leaned extensively on our plan, for planning our project. We used their templates and a lot of their worksheets and their materials to help design the COIL projects.
Yes. So, what is COIL?
Why COIL? COIL for students, it helps gain international exposure in an international exchange. It gives them a global perspective on their coursework and the kind of activities that they're doing. It helps strengthen their digital and team building skills. And for us faculty, of course, it helps us expand or build our international network and our global framework for our classes as well. And also, this could really open up new opportunities for research and publishing. And certainly Dr. Gokcora is starting to get into the research end of these types of projects to look at student outcomes a little more rigorously.
Yes, that's right. And students in my institution and Borough of Manhattan Community College, career building skills are also important. We also work
absolutely.
on that.
I think for all students.
Yes. And this is our website.
This is the Global Exchange is what I called it. I built this site. It is using an open source software called CBOX Open Lab, which is it's just a WordPress site that's a multi-site. And it was pretty easy for me to build. I mean, I've done some really basic, website building. So if you know how to do WordPress, but we selected this after we started designing our course. We realized that we didn't have a platform, an electronic platform for students to do. And this is a writing course. So we felt like we really needed, a place for them to share their work online. And so I built this site, and this is developed by the CUNY Graduate Center. It's based on their Academics Commons, and now it's an open source. So this is the site, and you can see we set up our coursework here, and it was very helpful because I have a Moodle, and at BMCC, Dr. Gokcora has Blackboard. So we needed a place where our students could work off on a separate site.
Yes. Okay, so who are the professors and why were we interested in COIL projects? I'm an ESL, basically I'm an ESL instructor, and I teach academic writing classes before freshman composition and some linguistics classes like language and culture. And although my students come from international backgrounds, I also wanted my students to have, sometimes they don't get they don't get a global perspective. They look at it from a single perspective. So having lived in the United States, so I wanted them to get into more global, get exposed to global perspectives, and especially the main incentive was to have them work with native speakers, native English speakers. Sometimes immigrant students do not get a chance to speak with native speakers. They live in their home cultures, they come to college, and they don't negotiate, or they don't associate themselves with other cultures that much. With native speakers, especially, my incentive was that. And Dr. Everson?
Yeah, I had at the UB at the time I was teaching a first year English composition course. I also taught some literature courses, but for this COIL, it was my first year English. And I enjoy using digital tools in the classroom, and I've done that in the past and do wiki work and blogging and those kind of things. I also have a master's in ESL or TESOL, and so I've worked and worked with ESL students in Puerto Rico, and so I know the benefits for them for working with native English speakers, but also I think native English speakers who live in a monolingual environment, like my students in the University of the Bahamas, I think it's very fruitful for them to experience students speaking, global Englishes, right? So they can have that experience and understand. And I think they were quite impressed by the level of the work that students were doing, because when I talked about my students in Puerto Rico, they all thought that, I was doing basic, ABCs 1, 2, 3, like they would do in a French class or another, their foreign language class. And I said, no, ESL students work basically at the same level as native speakers, but we just, kind of support them differently. So I think students got to get to know students, again, from a different backgrounds. They got to experience the different Englishes. And these kind of projects also support project-based learning, which is something I also try to integrate into my courses.
Yes, very good. And this is the number of students that we had in our classes. We started the COIL projects. We started working together last fall of 2019, and continued our collaboration in spring 2020. Unfortunately, there was Hurricane Dorian that happened. We started working together in the middle of the semester, but these were the numbers in our classes. In the fall semester 2019, I had 10 students in ESL 95, the course before freshman composition. And in the ESL 94, which is before ESL 95, that's one level down. I had 20 students, 14 females, 6 males.
Yeah, and I had the 11 students. So I had a full class before Hurricane Dorian, and then we lost a lot of students. There were a lot of loss of lives and displaced students after Hurricane Dorian hit our island in Grand Bahama. And then the spring semester, I had only 11 students in an online course, and that was an online scheduled course. And we were still having disruptions from Dorian in terms of electricity and internet. So my enrollment was a little bit low for that group. A lot of students didn't have the tools really to do the digital online learning. So it was a little challenge, both semesters. And then of course the coronavirus started in that spring. So it was a challenging, but we got through our COIL projects. So it was great.
I just wanted to mention that ESL 95 in the fall semester was an online course, and the 2 sections of ESL 94 was a face-to-face class, but it turned out to be a more of
it was converted
live Zoom class.
Live Zoom.
And okay,
that's true.
How did I get interested? Well, in spring 2019, in my college, there was a faculty initiative, and they invited faculty members to take part in COIL workshops. And I immediately got interested. Being a Fulbrighter here in the United States, I got very much interested in it, and I got matched with Dr. Everson. So I had already been using certain projects in my class. So we modified them. We worked on them. So we met online constantly in July, and we decided on the learning management system. I was using, as mentioned, I have been using. We use a Blackboard at in the Bahamas. You use Moodle. I'm sorry.
Moodle.
And
yep.
Yeah, Moodle. And we negotiated on the COIL projects, the projects that I have been using. I usually use race and discrimination topics in my classes, so we adapted them to the COIL as COIL projects in our project. And then, as Dr. Everson mentioned, she built the CBOX Open Lab website for our COIL courses, and so students on 2 campuses can join together in this platform.
Yeah, and actually it's a big platform. I had other projects going on it as well, so there's a lot of stuff there.
Yes.
But very useful, but not necessary, but it was useful for us.
Okay, so what are the 2 projects? One is a writing project. The other one is an audiovisual presentation, or the audiovisual project. We selected, I have been using The Achievement of Desire. Richard Rodriguez's The Achievement of Desire. This is a very inviting, inspiring essay written by Rodriguez, and there are themes that are related to that can be associated with the immigrant experience, with my international students' experiences. So it's the college experience, an immigrant born into the family in the United States, but not speaking English properly, coming as a non-native speaker, coming to starting school here, and then continuing with his education. So there are different themes in this essay that we can discuss critically. Richard Rodriguez distances himself from his family, although he misses them, but in order to be successful, he needs to focus on his classes. He has great ambition, aspiration to be successful. So these are very common experiences that my ESL students experience, as well as many students all over the world. So it was an interesting, it's a very interesting essay to read and talk about, to write about. The other one is the global social justice issues. So I have been asking my students to choose an issue that is important, an injustice, an issue that violates human rights in their context, or in the United States, and talk about it. So basically, these are the 2 projects that we worked on. And this is an example timeline for our education essay. So we met at the end of this is an example from the fall semester. We met at the end of the month, September, in the month of September. And then we asked students to introduce themselves online. We asked them to fill out an availability table and indicate their preferred technology, whether they would like to use Zoom, WhatsApp, or Skype, or other technology tools to get connected. And based on their availability, we paired them up. And during that time, we also, in our respective classes, we discuss Richard Rodriguez. We start reading Richard Rodriguez, and students answer questions. They do free write. And also we meet on Zoom. We have a Zoom discussion session where we discuss with students the general themes and how they can identify themselves with what Richard Rodriguez wants to convey.
Yeah, some of the concepts that come up, like scholarship boy. He was a scholarship boy. His struggle is tensions in his family, as well as the assimilation issues, language issues. So it's a very rich springboard essay to help students pull out some of those ideas that they can relate to or talk about with their partner.
Yes, that's right. And then they have a first interview. They meet and greet. And then after that, they have another interview, a second interview. This interview is based on specifically on the topics related to Rodriguez's essay. And then they draft their essay, the first draft, and we ask them to exchange. We get the essays, we send the essays. They write essays about each other. They interview each other and they write an essay based on the experiences of their partner, reflecting, of course, on the themes of Richard Rodriguez's essay. And they read each other's essay, so it's very motivating, exciting to read an essay written by another classmate about yourself. So they make comment. We teach them how to make peer feedback. We ask them to write about what they liked about the essay, what needs improvement, and then based on the feedback from the professor and their partner, they revise the essay and post it again.
And here's an example of peer review where a student responded, and we have them do that on that shared platform, on the Global Exchange platform. I'm writing this to respond to my partner's college experience education essay about my college experience. What I really like about the essay is the fact how the student states what my struggle is and then tops it off with me not settling, but fighting to do better. The focus is not only on my weaknesses, but also my strengths, and there's a balance. I've seen this throughout the essay, and I love that. So you can hear in the student's response how they were very interested in reading this essay by her partner, which was about her. So it comes through that sense of camaraderie and bonding and interest in doing a peer review.
Yes, that's right. This pair bonding is very important. Okay, the next one is the oral presentations. So I always give an example from my own culture. I'm from Turkey, so violence against women. I provide a digital picture, a picture that I find on by the Ministry of Family, how they protect women who are abused. So I give them an example. We ask students to make an argument about the topic, social justice issue, using rhetorical appeals. So these are some example topics that our students came up with in these projects, in this global social justice oral presentation projects. Child marriages in Morocco, traffic jam in Bangladesh, LGBT rights in the Bahamas, Boko Haram violence in Nigeria. It's again violence against children, especially female children. Female genital mutilation in West Africa, Guinea-Bissau, sexual abuse in El Salvador. So there's a whole variety. Islamophobia in the United States. One of my students selected that. And this is a general rubric that I use since my students are international students. I need to pay attention to their fluency, pronunciation, and then I give credit for how well they discuss the rhetorical appeals. And we also have asked them to meet the faculty members. We have a general discussion. We teach them we provide examples of social justice issues before they actually prepare the presentation. And Professor Everson, I think you have a similar
yeah, I have kind of a little more slimmed down rubric, but you know, a typical rubric for presentation where I give more credit for the you know, the content, like the ethos, logos, and pathos discussion, analysis of the image, and you know, how they speak, how well prepared they were, and also in terms of engaging with other presentations online and discussing them online. So we try to make sure the credit for these projects are substantial, and that's part of the COIL model, is that at least 20% of the grade, the course grade, is you know, are these two projects. So I think I ended up with a little more than 20%. It was 10% for the education essay, including and then the peer review was a little bit, you know, another part of another grade for my course. And this presentation was part of another grade. So we try to, you know, break it down to fit into the existing syllabi in each of our class.
Yes, that's right. Okay, this is an example from one of the students. who made a
Yeah.
presentation about homelessness in the Bahamas.
That's right. And we had a big challenge trying to find images and social justice issues in Bahamas at the time. With the first semester was a little challenge, and I think it's becoming a little more a kind of in the public sphere. There's not a lot of imagery used, visuals, I mean, local. So some of them were challenged, but this was really nice. And you can see we gave them the model where they had to talk about the pathos, logos, ethos, the analysis of the image and the issue. And then we also added cultural values. And that was a way of doing that intercultural exchange to talk about sort of how does it connect to what they see as their national values.
Yes. And as we, so after they make the presentation, after they prepare, they need to record their presentation and upload it to the COIL website as a YouTube video, first screencast-o-matic, and then as a YouTube video that's converted to a YouTube video. So these are some of the example feedback on the Zoom meeting that we had to motivate them to think about the social justice issues. So let's say one of my students said, what's more important than being aware of world issues? Believe me, it's very important. I've learned from my Zoom meeting that there are as many social issues as in my country, Brazil. Our meeting was very informative and helpful. This makes me want to know how the government supports the people in their hard times. So another student says the similar, she or he has similar feelings about social justice, a huge problem in many countries, and I really appreciated having Zoom meetings about it, seeing that there are students from different parts of the world in this course. I learned a lot from my professor and also from my classmates. Okay, so they're very appreciative of the meetings that we're very supportive for them to find some social justice issues, because this might be a new topic for some students. Okay, so after the presentations, they need to, just like in the education essay, they need to provide a peer review to each other.
Yeah, the videos are up on the site, on the shared WordPress site, and so then underneath they can comment on each other's. And as this example shows, there can be a little, back and forth started where one student made a comment and the other. I understand how you feel about this issue, so it started to become a discussion thread based on the topic.
Yes. And at the end of the course, we also gave them an attitude survey, asking them, it was a 7-item survey, but I'm going to talk about 2 of them. How did they feel about these about these projects, both the education essay and social justice presentations, oral presentations or oral visual? So most of them are pretty positive about it. They said, interesting, 56% said interesting, 28% said very useful and thought-provoking. And we also asked them if there were any challenges, and we also interviewed these students. Most of my ESL students said this was a challenging project. These were challenging projects in the sense that they have never written an essay, education essay, in which they need to provide a quotation in order to support their argument. And finding time to make a connection with the students at the other campus there are some challenges about that too. So that's,
I think, pairing up the students and getting them to meet and find time. I mean, that's always going to be a challenge in these kind of projects, to do the interview. Some of them tried to do it through WhatsApp by texting, but we really tried to push them for the oral exchange interview where they could have a little more open dialogue, and especially get that practice with the non-native speakers and native English speakers talking to each other. So most of them were able to do it, but it took a little prodding and a little bit of staying on top of it. So I think that was a challenge for us too. And using Zoom and some of the communication technology was new for some of us. But mostly they probably did better. they really learned a lot.
Even if these are challenges, they're excellent opportunities for growth, global exchange, and job building, job skills.
Yeah, the kind of skills, and if certainly now we're becoming a little more used to doing this, all of us, because since coronavirus, but this was very structured. These were very structured activities. So we were able to really guide them and help them. And so some of the comments at the end of the projects, you know, how it improved their life experience, it would made them more confident. They learned a lot from each other. I think the University of the Bahamas students, I know they had told me as well in some of the comments how surprised they were, the level of work that these ESL students were doing, which made them feel like, wow, I really got to, you know, up my game. So they put themselves in a more global perspective in terms of their skills and understanding people and how they use English that is not native to them, but can actually accomplish quite a lot. So I think the cross collaboration was great, brought people together. You know, students, UB really enjoyed it, and they were very grateful because they don't tend to get chances to meet international students. We don't have many or any on our campus at the time.
Yes, especially this student meeting my COIL partner was very fun, and I learned a lot from her. It was a great experience, and I hope everyone else had a COIL partner as amazing as mine from the University of the Bahamas.
Yeah, they really
okay, at the end of the as part of this project, we also gave. This is an ongoing project. We don't have the data yet, but we're still working on it. We gave a pre-semester and at the end of the semester a survey, and the survey is provided at this website, and it is prepared for students who take part in Erasmus programs in Europe. So, and then we took the parts, the global citizenship and social awareness parts of that survey.
So we're hoping, I think, well, you'll be probably publishing that and continuing the project. I'm no longer with the University of the Bahamas, but there's another professor, English professor, that has taken over the project. And so hopefully you can get some more data and really see how, you know, these projects are building these skills. And it was a great project. I mean, if you like to work with digital media in the classroom and have students working on their global competencies, I think it's a great model and a great way to get that done.
Sure. So we're hoping to publish it. And yes, and I need to stop.